Alright, let's be honest. If you're watching this, you've probably fallen down the same rabbit hole most of us have, thinking that eating like a linebacker in the offseason would magically transform you into a Greek god. Spoiler alert is that it does not work that way. What you get instead is a one-way ticket to looking like you've been smuggling basketballs under your shirt. I've been there, done that, and have plenty of oversized t-shirts to compensate. At my heaviest, I was pushing around 220 pounds and looking like I'd been training for a hot dog eating competition rather than something like a bodybuilding show. But I did get back down to single-digit body fat percentages and learn some hard lessons, and also some surprisingly effective tricks that most fitness influencers won't tell you because they're too busy selling you on some revolutionary shred plan. But before we dive into a lot of the practical stuff, I do want to address the elephant in the room, which are the chemical shortcuts. And there's a lot of things out there. Some look like and make you feel like you're injecting yourself with rocket fuel. T3, clenbuterol, DNP, GLP-1 agonists, and plenty of other peptides with random numbers and random letters that look like they belong in a chemistry textbook rather than your medicine cabinet. But here's the truth. The most effective fat loss compounds aren't necessarily the ones that burn fat. They're the ones that make you not want to raid your kitchen at 2 a.m. like some sort of carbohydrate-seeking missile. Appetite suppressants can be a secret weapon, though I'm not talking about anything hardcore like Adderall, crack, meth. Stay away from those. But GLP-1 agonists like semaglutide, tirzepatide, and retatrutide are probably my favorites from the pharmacological category. They're going to reduce your appetite, quiet a lot of the food noise in your brain, and you can get them with a prescription from your doctor so they aren't made, some sketchy chemical made in a random person's bathtub like some of the semi-illegal stuff. If you do want more information on these, feel free to check out my clinic, Best Man Med, and fill out a free quiz to see if you're eligible. I'll put a link in the description. But T3 is basically supplementing with extra of your own thyroid hormone. Your thyroid is key for your metabolic rate. However, I'd rather not mess with my thyroid hormones. You can really mess yourself up here, and it'll eat away at your muscle tissue and also affect your heart. Clenbuterol and albuterol work on your beta-2 receptors to increase your metabolic rate and also promote lipolysis, but again, strain on your heart. Let's not go there. The classic ECA stack, though, which is ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin, is actually a decent choice for appetite suppression, a bit safer than the other choices, but still with some risks on your heart. I tried this myself many years ago, haven't really returned to it though, just because I didn't like how it made me feel. Now, here's where things get a little bit interesting, and that's melanotan too. Yes, the stuff that makes you tan like you've been living on a beach in the Bahamas. But here's the kicker. It absolutely just destroys your appetite. It makes you feel super nauseous, which sounds terrible until you realize that you're already hungry enough to eat your own gym shoes, and the nausea actually kind of balances things out and leaves you in this strange zen state where food just doesn't matter. So if you want to be so nauseous you can't eat while looking ethnically ambiguous in terms of skin tone, do some research on that one. DNP. Just don't. People die taking that stuff. But now let's talk about the foods and some of the more practical stuff. First rule of serious fat loss: murder all your liquid calories. I don't care if your post-workout shake tastes like liquid heaven mixed with unicorn tears. It's gotta go. Liquid calories are like that friend who seems helpful, but actually just makes your life more complicated. They don't fill you up, they don't satisfy cravings, and they definitely don't help when you're trying to squeeze every ounce of satiety out of your already severely restricted calorie budget. Replace that protein shake with actual food. Your jaw will thank you, your stomach will thank you, and your sanity definitely will thank you when you're not wondering why you're still hungry after drinking 400 calories worth of chocolate-flavored powder water. Now for another liquid hack that sounds too simple to work but actually does, and that's carbonated everything. Sparkling water, diet sodas, those weird stevia-sweetened drinks that taste like someone tried to make soda in their garage and almost succeeded. These bubbles create this magical illusion of fullness in your stomach, like a very gentle, very legal form of gastric manipulation. Is drinking Diet Coke every day going to turn you into a walking chemistry experiment? Probably not. Will it help you stick to your diet when the alternative is face planting into a cake or a pizza? Absolutely. Sometimes you have to weigh the risks, and the risk of completely derailing your progress because you couldn't handle the hunger usually outweighs the theoretical dangers of artificial sweeteners. And on the note of artificial sweeteners, sugar-free Jell-O might be the most underrated fat loss tool in existence. Think about it. You can eat an entire mixing bowl full of what tastes like dessert for about 100 calories. It's like having a cheat meal that actually helps your diet instead of destroying it. I used to demolish a full bowl of this stuff daily, basically, during my deepest cuts, and it felt like I was getting away with murder. The chocolate pudding versions are slightly higher in calories, but still ridiculously diet-friendly. When you're deep in a deficit and your brain is convinced that everything edible has disappeared from the planet, a bowl of chocolate pudding, even the fake stuff, Feels like winning the lottery. Now for some of the condiments. I really do think the condiment aisle becomes your best friend when you're cutting. Sugar-free barbecue sauce, low-calorie salad dressings, hot sauces that add flavor without calories. These are the unsung heroes of sustainable dieting. The key is actually measuring them though, instead of just pouring with reckless abandon like you're trying to drown your food in flavor. So be careful here. Now, speaking of sauce, you can get these special noodles that are basically edible magic tricks. They are shirataki noodles. They look like pasta, fill you up like pasta, but basically 0 calories. It's really like someone found a way to hack the matrix of food. You can eat an enormous bowl of what appears to be a carb-heavy meal, but in reality, you're only counting the chicken and sauce. Do they taste like regular pasta? Definitely not. But when you're deep in a calorie deficit, you will question your life choices, and these will taste like a gift of the diet gods. Mix them with some quality protein and a good sauce, and you have yourself a meal that satisfies both your stomach and also your macros. Some other good alternatives are goodels and banza that taste like actual pasta, have the same amount of calories as pasta though, but with higher protein values. Now on to some of the sweet stuff. Regular peanut butter during a cut is like bringing a flamethrower to a water balloon fight. It's way too much firepower for the situation. PB2, which is powdered peanut butter, gives you that peanut butter flavor with 85% less fat. 2 tablespoons for 45 calories. That's not even a rounding error in your daily intake. Mix them into a shake, stir it into oatmeal, or use it in some sort of protein ice cream concoction that make you feel like you're cheating, even though you're technically being good. It really is the dietary equivalent of having your cake and eating it too, except it's peanut butter and you're not actually cheating. Now, on the note of ice cream, protein ice cream made in a blender is probably the closest thing to actual magic that exists in the dieting world. Take some protein powder, throw in a bunch of ice, maybe some of that PB2, blend it until your blender starts questioning its life choices, and boom, you have what looks and feels like a massive dessert for a couple hundred calories. But fair warning, this might destroy your blender. So that's why you can get a Ninja Creamy. Literally freeze a protein shake overnight, then put it in this magical machine, and now you have protein ice cream. So that's enough of some of the diet strategies, and I want to talk a little bit more about meal timing, and this is where things get psychological. When you eat can be just as important as what you eat. I discovered that eating early in the day was like setting off a hunger bomb in my brain. Once insulin got involved, it was game over. My appetite would rage like a teenager who just discovered that their phone was taken away. The solution? Intermittent fasting. Specifically a 16-8 approach, even up to a 24 approach. Skip breakfast, drink black coffee with stevia, for example, not that MCT oil nonsense that turns your 0-calorie coffee into a 400-calorie mistake. And push your first meal as late as possible. This gives you a concentrated eating window where you can actually feel satisfied instead of spreading your meager calories across the day like you are rationing food during an apocalypse. And same thing goes with carbohydrates here. They spike your insulin, which opens the floodgates of hunger, which leads you to staring into your refrigerator like it might spontaneously generate food that fits your macros. The trick is saving your carbs for around your workout or as late in the day as possible. Use them strategically instead of having them trigger a feeding frenzy first thing in the morning like with pancakes. It's like controlled demolition, but you want the explosion, but you just want it at the right time and the right place. And of course, we have protein as well. Protein isn't just for building muscle, it's your secret weapon against hunger. While everyone argues whether you need 1 gram or 1.5 grams or 0.7 or whatever the current internet consensus is, I focus on a simpler metric. Protein is the most filling macronutrient, period. Fat is supposed to be satiating, but when you're in a deficit, 10 almonds that disappear in 2 seconds aren't going to cut it when you could have had several ounces of chicken for the same calories. Carbs are great for energy, but terrible for hunger control when you're already restricted. Protein is that reliable friend who always has your back. And oddly enough, swapping red meat for white meat is actually one of the easiest ways to cut calories without feeling like you're eating less food. Same volume, same visual satisfaction, way fewer calories. It's like getting a discount on your calorie budget without having to sacrifice the experience of actually eating a substantial meal. If you are sticking with red meat, upgrade to leaner cuts or higher quality options like bison. The difference in calorie density can be pretty significant, and your taste buds might actually prefer the upgrade. But here's actually another bonus tip on meat that sounds weird but works. Choose meat that requires more chewing. Your brain needs time to register fullness, and if you're scarfing down ground beef, you might eat past your satiety point before your brain catches up. Versus a nice steak that requires actually chewing it, gives your internal satiety sensors some time to do their job properly. And on this note as well, this is where things get a little bit sciencey, but stick with me, I want to talk about gut health. If your digestive system is running like a 1995 Honda with 300,000 miles on it, you're not going to absorb nutrients properly, which means you won't feel satisfied even when you should be. Poor gut health and low stomach acid can leave you feeling hungry even after eating adequate food because your brain and body isn't actually processing what you're giving it. Think of it like having a broken fuel gauge in your car. You might have plenty of gas, but if the system can't read it properly, you're going to think you're running on empty. And proper digestion isn't just about avoiding tummy aches or gas, it's about making sure your body actually recognizes that you fed it. So make sure you're eating some fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, however you pronounce it. Even yogurt can help you out here for some healthy gut bacteria. Now I want to transition and talk a little bit more about the volume game. This is Nutrition 101, but it does bear repeating. High volume, high fiber foods are your friends. The more space your food takes up in your stomach, the more satisfied you're going to feel, even if the calorie count is relatively low. It really is basic physics applied to hunger management. So load up on veggies, choose foods with higher water content, and prioritize options that give you the most bang for your caloric buck in terms of pure volume. Your stomach doesn't have a calorie counter. It responds to physical fullness just as much as nutritional satisfaction. And here's another place where most people screw up. They slash their calories like they're trying to set a land speed record for fat loss. You go from eating 3,000 calories to 2,000 overnight, lose weight quickly for a few weeks, and then plateau harder than a bad joke at a comedy club or some of my jokes in this video. Now what? Do you drop to 1,800 calories? 1,600? Congratulations, you've played yourself into eating like a small bird while still looking like you need to lose weight. The smarter approach is gradual reduction combined with gradual increases in activity. This keeps your metabolism from fully tanking and gives you somewhere to go when progress inevitably stalls. It's like having multiple gears in your car instead of just fast and broken. And of course, I want to touch on another underrated fat loss tool, walking. Not running, not HIIT, not some insane cardio routine that requires a paramedic on standby. Just walking. Specifically, 10-minute walks after meals. Research shows that 3 10-minute post-meal walks control blood sugar better than one 30-minute walk. Better blood sugar control means better fat loss, better hunger management, and better overall health. That's why we're here. Plus, it's actually enjoyable instead of feeling like a punishment for the crime of wanting to look better naked. Walking also helps with your digestion, which of course ties back to the gut health point. After eating a large meal, the last thing you want to do is sit there like a python that just swallowed a large animal. A short walk helps your body actually process what you just ate instead of letting it sit there and letting it try to decide what to do with itself. And of course, I want to talk also about sleep, which I think is where a lot of people sabotage their progress. You can meal prep like a machine and count macros with NASA precision, but if you're sleeping like garbage, you're basically trying to fill a bucket with a giant hole in it. Sleep-deprived bodies turn into hormonal disaster movies. Leptin, which is your I'm full hormone, crashes while ghrelin, your feed me everything hormone, shoots through the roof. When you're chronically underslept, your body thinks the apocalypse is coming and starts hoarding calories like a doomsday prepper. Your insulin sensitivity tanks, cortisol stays elevated, and you start storing fat instead of burning it. So here's some quick fixes that actually work. Make your bedroom colder than a penguin's living room. Use blue light blockers or go screen-free for an hour before bed. Your brain thinks that the phone screen is the sun, and the sun means time to hunt for food, not sleep. And this is where it ties into stress as well, which might be the most underrated fat loss killer. You can have your diet dialed in perfectly, but if you're stressed, your body works against you like a mutinous crew. Again, cortisol floods your system, prioritizing fat storage over fat burning, and makes you crave exactly the foods that derail your progress. So the solution really is breathing. Try the 4-7-8 technique. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. It's like hitting a reset button on your nervous system and takes about 19 seconds. Build stress management into your routine like it's as important as hitting your protein target, because it might be. Now, one last tip for actually navigating the food culture and being around people. People take your food choices personally for reasons that have nothing to do with you. When you pass on birthday cake, everyone becomes a nutritionist with opinions about your restrictive lifestyle. So the strategic approach is to plan for situations by checking restaurant menus ahead of time. Use phrases like dressing on the side, grilled instead of fried. Make bad choices inconvenient at home. Put vegetables at eye level in your fridge. Pre-portion your snacks. And don't keep family-sized chip bags within couch reach. Handle the food police with simple deflections. I'm just not that hungry. I had a big lunch. These comments usually say more about their relationship with food than yours. You're not trying to convert anyone. Just stick to your plan while maintaining normal human relationships. But the biggest difference between successful cuts and failed attempts really isn't willpower, it is strategy. Most people try to white knuckle their way through hunger and cravings, which works about as well as trying to hold your breath underwater indefinitely. Instead of fighting with your appetite, outsmart it. Use volume to feel full, use timing to minimize hunger windows, use flavor enhancers to make restricted eating more enjoyable, and use gradual changes to avoid shocking your system into survival mode. Your goal isn't to suffer your way to leanness, it's to create a system that makes adherence as easy as possible. Because at the end of the day, the best diet is the one you can actually stick to, not the one that looks the best on paper or sounds the coolest or most hardcore in your friend's group chat. Master these principles, and you'll find that getting shredded doesn't have to feel like a medieval torture device designed to test your willpower. The real secret isn't in some exotic supplement or revolutionary training protocol. It's in these boring, practical strategies that make the difference between another failed diet attempt and actually achieving the physique that you want. So, thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you found it useful and any other diet techniques that you enjoy. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one to drop body fat, gain energy, and feel your best, make sure to check out the link in the description as well.